Hi everyone, I've got another one of my favourite stories. This one's written by Joy Cowley and illustrated by Deirdre Gardner, and it's called Brith the Terrible. The giant Brith lived in a stone tower high above the town. Every morning he looked down and yelled in his terrible voice, "Wake up, little people! Send someone to fight me, or I'll pour a blizzard over you." Of course, no one dared fight with the terrible Brith, so every day he took a barrel of snow or rain and emptied it over the streets. All year long it was winter in that town. One day a stranger came whistling by. He wore a yellow coat and yellow shoes. Over his shoulder he carried a sky blue bag. The stranger stepped into a snowdrift. He stopped whistling and shivered. "This place is freezing," he said, "yet it's summer in the rest of the country." "Summer?" cried the people. "We haven't had summer for 30 years. And they told him about the terrible Brith. "Why don't you fight the giant?" asked the stranger. At that, the people moaned with fear. "He's higher than the tallest pine tree," they said. "His feet are as big as boats." "Then I'll fight him," said the stranger. The people looked at each other. They thought the stranger was mad. He would be killed for sure. "How will you fight him?" they asked. "Ah," smiled the stranger, "my weapons are small and gentle. That is the only way to deal with giants." Now the people knew he was mad. "When will you fight him?" they asked. "Tomorrow morning," said the stranger. He put down his sky blue bag. "Look after this for me. Keep it warm. I'll have some supper and a bed for the night. Then I'll attend to your terrible Brith." Early the next day, the voice of Brith thundered over the town. "Wake up, little people! One of you come and fight me, or you'll all get a barrel of hailstones." The stranger put his head out the window. "I'll come," he yelled. Brith leaned over and stared. "You'll what?" he roared. "I'll fight you," said the stranger, putting on his yellow coat. "Meet me at the edge of the forest in 5 minutes. The stranger put on his yellow shoes. Then, taking his sky blue bag, he went whistling out of town. The terrible Brith was waiting for him. His head and shoulders were high above the treetops. He had an enormous club in his hand. "Where is your sword?" the giant called. "Where is your gun?" "I don't need swords and guns," said the stranger. "Then how will you fight me?" sneered the giant. "With butterflies," said the stranger. He undid the catch on his sky blue bag. It was indeed full of butterflies in all the colours of the rainbow. Brith was angry. "You are making fun of me," he roared. "For that I will kill you." And he raised the great club over his head. The stranger whistled. At once the butterflies came out of the bag. They flew up like a cloud of brilliant flowers. "Get those things out of the way!" shouted Brith. The stranger whistled again, and the butterflies flew round the giant. Over his head they fluttered, and round his arms and legs. "Stop!" Brith roared. I'm ticklish. The stranger laughed. I know that, he said. Brith's face grew red. He began to squirm. His club dropped to the ground. Take them away, he roared in a voice that shook pine cones off trees. Flitter, flitter went the wings under his nose and in his ears, flutter, flutter against his ribs. He had butterflies in his hair and beard. They flew down his neck. They tickled his great hairy armpits. He turned this way and that, trying to brush them off. A huge laugh of despair burst from ho, 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 I can't stand it. Ho, 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 please take them away. But the stranger only smiled and shook his head. The terrible Brith sank to his knees, laughing, gasping and pleading. Still the butterflies crowded round him. Tears ran down the giant's bright red face. Anything, he whispered. I promise anything. Just put them back in your bag. Will you go away? Said the stranger. And will you stay away forever? Now the giant was on his back, helplessly kicking his heels in the air. Yes, 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 he gasped. The stranger gave a shrill whistle. The butterflies left the giant. They flew up like a shower of sparks, then dropped neatly into the bag. Go, said the stranger to the giant. Brith lay still for a moment. Then slowly he got to his hands and knees and crawled into the forest. The stranger took a handful of butterflies out of the bag and tossed them into the air. I'll leave a few here, he said, just in case you change your mind. But the terrible Brith never did return. The stranger went away whistling, and summer came to the town. Flowers bloomed in window boxes. Strawberries grew ripe in the sun. Children splashed under the fountain, and farmers made hay. Where did Brith go? The people never knew, but to be perfectly sure, they kept a few butterflies in their gardens. And even today, you will never find a giant in a town which has butterflies. I hope you enjoyed that story. It's definitely one of my faves.